If you're not expecting it yet, I don't know who is expecting it. But okay, so I'm punching. There's my phone, which means I can now mute the sucker. All right. All right. So everything seems to be running smooth. We're greenlit in our Steam health. So let's get this party started, shall we? Kitten, are we up yet?
I am on my phone, not on here yet, though.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure, because currently we have 0 watching, so I'm just double checking here. Okay, so here we go. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, and thank you for joining us once again, the Modern Source of Gaming. I'm Kaiju K, and with me here is the Kitten of Doom.
Hi.
And Necro Nick.
Hello.
Welcome to our 20th live stream. Yes, it's kind of amazing to think that we are at 20 live streams already, but we are here. So tonight we're going to do something a little different. It's Halloween in July. The ghosts and the ghouls that step around and abound, they're here to play around. So what we have to deal with tonight is very simply our feelings on how supernatural events are portrayed not only in the media, but also in other such things as video games, how they're portrayed in anime, how they're basically portrayed and then set them up against their real-world counterparts. For instance, are vampires judged properly for their, how should I put it, for their role, I guess should be the... Should I be using that terminology? That doesn't sound right. How would that be better worded? Anybody?
For their...
Like their realism? Would that be better? What do you think?
Sorry, I missed it, honestly. I was setting up the chat on here.
I was asking, I was talking about how,
like how we're comparing them from animes, movies,
etc., etc., etc.
to their real
Would it be to their real world counterparts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or realistic.
Right. All right. So what we're going to basically do is each one of us has chosen a grouping. I have chosen zombies. Kitten of Doom has chosen the ghosts.
Yes.
Necro Nick has chosen vampires. And as soon as I'm done setting up this damn process, I'm sorry, folks. I had an update on my server this morning, and unfortunately they reset all my damn host settings, so I have to change them real quick. I forgot to do it earlier. My condolences and sorry. But I would like to take a moment to say that today we lost a very, very important and very well-known director. At age 77, on this day, which I kind of feel strange about, George Romero died. Sad face. He was the original purveyor of the zombie movie. I mean, I know there were other movies that were kind of ahead of that weren't really mainstream zombie flicks.
He's the one that put him in perspective.
Well, not only that, but he also set a lot of different movie genres into perspective.
Yes.
I feel that if it wasn't for him, and Alfred Hitchcock, of course, horror movies just wouldn't have existed. Because they were the leading individuals.
Right.
Kitten, how's the stream looking over there?
Looks good.
Okay, I'm almost finished.
Jared did comment. He said, are supernatural creatures compared equally in media?
Sure, we'll go with that one.
Yes.
So there we go. Okay, I've set everything. You're saying the stream's running okay?
Yep. I mean, it's a little patchy, but that's how it normally is, so.
Alright. So, anyways, so we all spent about the past 2 hours or so, give or take, after a pizza high. That was good. Yeah. I ate the entire pizza, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know why, but I
ate too much.
You didn't eat enough.
I ate a whole half a pizza.
You didn't eat the whole pizza. And you too, bird boy, but I expect that out of you.
Yeah, not everybody's a freaking kaiju.
Bring on the never-ending breadsticks. I'll prove them wrong.
I tell you would.
So we spent about 2 hours, and then I wouldn't rest the next day. I'd be stuck.
Jared said George A. Romero brought zombies into the mainstream.
Yes, we already said that. He also brought a lot of other things into the mainstream, though.
Yeah.
Zombies weren't the only horror movie he did.
I'm just telling you.
No, I'm explaining that to everybody else. I wasn't talking to you. Just don't stick it out unless you plan to use it. Anyway.
Shut up.
So, we all
Do
spent...
you want to get knocked out already?
No.
We all spent about 2 hours doing an investigation, and trust me, Kitten here was literally pulling hair at one point for how much she's done. She has a huge background. And Necro here, he's done more digging today than he has in any of the other videos I've seen so far, so bravo to that. He just got back from his family reunion and got 3 phone numbers.
No. Kyle doesn't understand the concept apparently about family reunion.
Let's not touch that subject, alright? I could say some things, but let's not. Alright, so first of all, rest in peace, George Romero. You will be missed. You're one of the greatest actors. If you remember last week, I can't remember if it was Kitten or Necro, but I think one of you guys wanted Romero. Kitten. Kitten actually wanted Romero to be one of her movies, so we're going to have to do a letterhead later on and have her pick a different director now. But, starting this off, let's start off with me. I'm going to be talking about zombies. Now, the funny thing is that when we looked up ghosts and vampires and all that, they had literally just huge pages, wikis filled to the brim with background and different groups having different backgrounds and things like that. And then I looked up zombies, and it was like a few pages. I had to search through other literature just to find it. But you know what? Zombies. You know them, you love them, maybe you hate them, I don't know. But zombies are here to stay. From the earliest movies to the newest games, zombies have been around, and the media loves them. However, what is a zombie? Well, I'll tell you what it is. According to lore and several wiki pages, zombieism can be traced back to Haiti as part of a Haitian voodoo. The funny thing about the zombies in Haitian voodoo, though, is the fact that they weren't just the undead. Actually, they were based off of an ideal called soul dualism, in which a zombie is actually the physical form as well as an astral spirit form, which is then used to be controlled. Now, it's controlled by... I'm going to butcher these, by the way. Let me give you guys a quick trigger warning. There are going to be several names and groups from other countries that we are going to butcher the out of. So if you're a member of the Heil Dictionary, grammar Nazis like me and Kitten are, you're going to feel a sting. I apologize now. That's right. I just Nazi grammar saluted. Take that.
It hurt me trying to figure out the names.
And trust me, some of the names she had were like 19 freaking letters long. It's like, no, I'm not going to try it. So anyways, zombies were controlled by a Hungan or a Mambo, which were a priest or priestess, respectively, of the voodoo religion. While the two types were different, basically they were controlled the same way. It was usually used with a combination of ritualistic summoning and chemicals, or sometimes it was just through magic, sometimes it was through dolls. I mean, it's a long list of how they did it. But they would bring them back. Usually, the funny thing was, though, in the Haitian tradition of it, zombies were brought back merely to be servants. They weren't flesh-eating monsters. They weren't assassins. They were just workers. I mean, of course, obviously, there's going to be that evil twitwit, for every Dumbledore, there's got to be a frickin' Severus Snape, There's going to be that stupid twit who goes, you know what, fireworks are pretty, but let's turn them into a rocket launcher. Now, while the word zombie has only been first mentioned since the 1819s, or since 1819, by the poet Robert Southey, I think it is? Southey? I'm going to say Southey, I'm just going to get horribly wrong. While there are many theories about how zombies are created, including a 1982 chemical hypothesis, which was written by Wade Davis, or the social hypothesis in 1997 by R.D. I'm going to say Lang. I'm probably getting it wrong again. I'm going to butcher them. The truth is that there's nothing in the world that contains the fact that zombies could actually be created, or you'd think that. However, there is a particular zombieism that actually exists and is scientifically proven to exist to this day. However, it's not aimed at humans unless you believe in The Last of Us. Now here comes one, because I don't know my Greek really well. It's Ophiocordyceps unilaterus. Actually, I think I said that right. That could be it. Yeah, we'll wait for you, Mr. Modernster. it's a type of fungus that infects ants in rainforests. It's actually found in many rainforests, which is kind of creepy. And what it does is it basically gets into their head and slowly takes over. It slowly manipulates their brain to the point where they'll stop doing things they're supposed to do. Like they'll stop following the queen's scent. They'll start climbing trees until they reach an area where it has the proper light and humidity. And then this parasitic fungus, which is turning these things into a zombie, will have them literally bite down onto a leaf. And they will sit there for 4 to 10 days until they starve to death. Then the fungus begins to eat them alive, and then a stalk grows out of their dome, out of their head, and it will bloom and burst into spores, which will go and find more ants. That is zombie. That is creepy, and that is a fungus.
Yep.
No.
They're having a slight lighting issue.
Oh?
Yeah, it keeps getting dimmer.
Yeah, I don't know why it does that.
Maybe if we turned it more towards the wall like last time.
All right. Give me 2 seconds, folks. We'll be back to you after these messages. Maybe that'll work. I'm going to go and highlight our 2 posters. There we go. How's that look?
I don't know, it's catching up.
All right. Sorry about that break, folks. You can see the one freaking lamp post dangling right there. Now that being said, though, let's move on to the stuff you actually came in here to do. Okay. So what we have here is this is how zombies work. From the 17th century up until now, zombies from the Haitian voodoo religion were created to be servants of voodoo priests and priestesses. Okay, cool. How does that register up against media nowadays? Not very well. No, actually, zombies compared to their originality are actually butchered, completely and utterly destroyed. That's not to say that they aren't fun. It's not to say they aren't good. But I'm just saying that from the servants of helping people to the now bloodthirsty, ravenous monsters, there has been a huge difference. So, with that being said, I mean, I'm not saying that the genre isn't filled to the brim with different ways of making the movies and everything look. I'm just saying that, for me, it gets a little difficult from this point on. Let's start with animes. Now, I could talk all days about animes that actually have zombies in them or zombie-like creatures. Because Attack on... I almost said it wrong. Titan. I had to hold myself back there. Ooh, that...
Better, by the way.
Okay. I almost let out the wrong word there. Basically has the same principle as zombies. They're brainless... Well, basically brainless. Living in mechanisms who are only there to eat human flesh. So, I mean, there's that. But... I'll talk about a few of the good ones, and then we'll leave the bad ones out of this one, like Attack on Titan. First of all, there's Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul is an anime that involves ghouls, which are basically zombies. However, unlike the standard walk slowly, shamble up, and bite people, the ghouls in Tokyo Ghoul are anything but ghouls. They're more like Saiyans. Super powerful, magical creations that hunger for human flesh in Tokyo. I don't know why they aren't anywhere else. They just like Tokyo. Maybe they just got really good food there. I don't know. I mean,
Maybe.
But the thing about them is that they are super intelligent and they're super deadly, and you really can't tell the difference between most of the ghouls and humans. I mean, there are those ghouls that don't look like humans at all, but for the most part, including the main character's love interest, they're pretty hard to tell apart. The main character's the best part about this anime, though, is the fact that the main character becomes a half-ghoul, and he's the only one of his kind, which is kind of weird. It's half-ghoul, I guess that's what he considered a damn peel.
Yes, you could either eat regular food or flesh.
Well, he constantly fights against his want to eat flesh. He doesn't eat flesh, but his want to eat flesh is there. But it's also got a really good supporting cast, and if you like animes that have a lot of blood but a lot of badass fighting, take a look at Tokyo Ghoul. The next one is an anime I haven't actually watched, but I really want to watch, and it's kind of a religious-based anime, so it might turn a lot of people off. It's called Sunday Without God. It's a 12 or 13 series anime where basically the rapture happened. God left, the demons and everything left, and they left Earth in this state where no one's being reborn, and the undead and the people that are dying aren't really dying. It's about this specialized group of, I guess you could call them hunters. They're called the Grave Diggers. And what the Gravediggers do is they go around and they try to mercy kill all these undead and set them off on their way. I haven't watched it yet, but I really want to. Next we'll talk about Sankaria. I can never pronounce it properly. Undying Love. Okay, so this one gets kind of strange. It involves a main character that's trying to bring back his dog. He also has a fetish with zombies. His love interest accidentally drinks some of the elixir that he creates that brings back his dog, or his cat. I can't remember if it's a dog or a cat. And she becomes reborn as a zombie. But she looks like her regular self. Like, you couldn't tell the difference. And it's really kind of it's kind of beautiful, actually. It's not. It doesn't take itself 100% seriously. But if you're into like a love story that isn't too bad, it starts off that way. But eventually it reaches the way all animes do, where all kinds of crazy shit starts happening. Okay, from a love story to basically a softcore porn. High School of the Dead, or as I like to call it, High School of Cheesecake. This anime was designed for two things: people who enjoy lots of gore and explosions and death, and people who enjoy a lot of gratuitous nudity. In one scene, this one girl is fighting with a literal kendo sword, killing zombies left and right. Her male friend then knocks down their big-chested female friend, lays a .50 caliber sniper rifle on her breasts, fires a bullet towards the girl fighting with swords, who then bends backwards, and her breasts jiggle perfectly to have the bullet fly in between them. Okay, this is not an anime to take seriously. This is an anime that was just 2 strings short of becoming a hentai. But it's so fucking hilarious. You got... Just watch 2 or 3 episodes, you'll know what I'm talking about. Last but not least, one of my all-time favorite animes, actually, is called Corpse Princess. In Corpse Princess, this young woman is brutally murdered by... Well, I'm not going to spoil it, but she's brutally murdered, and so is her family. And she's brought back as a reanimated dead or a corpse. Now, the only way to save her soul is to go and kill 108 other reanimated corpses. Unlike your standard zombie flick, it's just guns and explosions, and... The undead don't need to be shot in the head. They just need to die. That kind of thing. So if you're looking for an interesting group of animes, I'd suggest all those. I would also suggest another anime series I'm going to start watching soon called Gyo, G-Y-O. This is very strange, but apparently the idea is zombie fish. That have... Yeah, Cody, I know. It sounds weird, doesn't it? Zombie fish that have grown... insect-like appendages to walk on land to attack people with. Yeah, I really wish I was joking about this, but this is a series. Not a single movie. This is a series. So let's move on to movies. Now, when I clicked zombie and movies, I had about... well, I think I had more pages than the IRS has hidden credit reports. I know, and it's weird because that I don't get it. Oh wait, I think I just realized it's also slowly getting dark outside too, so that could be screwing with the lighting every few seconds. I'm gonna try one more thing.
Yeah, we've been like steady dark for the past couple of minutes.
Let's try one more thing here. Hope you guys aren't sick of seeing my butt yet. It's big enough. Ugh. Alright. Well, that looks like I may have cleared it up a little for a few seconds. Although I am getting a slight glare from the side of the garbage can, but screw it. So I could go on and 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 on about zombie movies. But I'm not going to waste everybody's time with that. I'm going to mention the very important ones, I'm going to mention my favorite ones, and then we're going to move on from this category because there are literally thousands of them. Everything from zombie Nazis fighting against a bunch of hippies to a kid named Norman who brings back the undead. There's just such a list of them. So let's start off with the most important of all time, and that would be Night of the Living Dead. Night of the Living Dead was the original zombie movie in my opinion. Now there were a few that came out beforehand, but it's the one that put it on the map. And once again, George Romero was the one who created it. So, once again, rest in peace, George Romero. heartburn. Shouldn't have eaten a whole pizza.
Probably not.
Silence! I kill you!
Anyway.
Ooh. Would Ahmed the Dead terrorist be considered a zombie?
No.
Ah, damn it!
He's Skeletor.
But he's got a brain!
He's a puppet.
Don't do this to me. Don't do me dirty like that.
I hate puppets.
Of course you do. And I hate porcelain dolls. Okay, so George Romero created a hit movie that put zombies on the map. That being said, there were others. A good example is the 28 days / 28 weeks later zombie craze. Now, the problem I have with this movie is basically it's a bunch of people who are infected by the rage virus, which is basically super rabies that causes them to become adrenaline-pumped monsters that chase you down and bite you and rip you to shreds. The thing I have against this movie is this. According to the movie, these beings still run on the same resources as a human. After 28 days, if you haven't eaten anything, you're dead. And the way they made this movie look is they made them look like they were moving in packs through cities where there was like nobody in them. You know, there's 2 people in the city. That's not going to be able to contain, 50 zombies for another 28 days. Don't get me started with 28 weeks later. I didn't exactly like this movie, but I did like the idea of them taking a virus that has these effects. Rabies does cause anger, it causes adrenaline, it causes paranoia. It can cause a placid or docile animal to become violent. And then just say, and what we're going to do is we're going to make it 20 times worse. Why did we create this virus again? Who knows? Did we find a cure for it first? No? Well, there's your fucking stupidity. Another one I have to bring up is the Evil Dead series. Yes, groovy, Hail to the King, baby, and this is my boomstick. Not to be confused by Boomstick from Death Battle. This one actually took a weird turn, which kind of goes into effect with kind of a Kitten's idea, where the zombies were people that were dead who were reanimated by demonic spirits, which I consider to be magic, so I'm going to hold that as they're zombies and not spirits. The entire series is just ridiculous, but the idea of this Book of the Dead, which, by the way, a certain someone will be bringing up later, bringing them to life and causing all this kind of mischief and everything. Will you 2 newlyweds stop staring at each other?
Or does it?
I just got to say this right now. There was a young woman who has been a fan of these 2 for a while now, and she sent us an email about 2 or 3 days ago stating that she was actually reading the comments down at the bottom of our messages and realized that when we were talking about the chaotic cousins, it wasn't talking about me and Necro, it was actually talking about those 2. So for everyone to know it, 100%, this guy, this gal, are cousins! Stop shipping them together!
Yeah, please.
It's okay to ship Necro with everyone, but do not ship those 2 together, alright? I know people have already shipped them together. I've heard about the shipping of Battlefield Brandon and Necro Nick. Yeah, apparently you guys make a cute couple. Anyway, next up is Warm Bodies. Now, Warm Bodies is another strange one. It's along the lines of the anime I was talking about earlier, where it's a love story. Except in this love story, love literally conquers all.
Yeah.
Because in this story, love and happiness and all these gushy, warm feelings that I've grown cold and dead of years ago are enough to turn a zombie back into a living being. I don't know how that stops an Haitian curse or a virus or magic or anything like that, but true love truly conquers all. Ow, 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 ow! It was so sweet I got a cavity. But now, for the last but not least, my favorite part of this one, where I have to bring up my favorite zombie movie of all time. And I'm going to get laughed at for it. Shaun of the Dead.
Why would you get laughed at? That movie is epic.
Well, here's the reason. A lot of people say it's not a good zombie movie. But here's the thing. This is how I feel the average person would actually act. He'd walk down the street with your buddy and hear some guy moaning down the street. You probably would think he's drunk as a fucking skunk. I would have been like, dude, go home. Don't you start with me. And then eventually, like, where are we going to go? Let's go to the pub. Why? It's easy to defend. They're not going to think like I am. They're not going to think of going to a bank where there's metal shutters. They're not going to think of going to a military base. They're not going to think about running out in the woods. No, the average Joe's going to go hide at Costco. The average Joe's going to take over Walmart. The average Joe's going to go to Cabela's. And, of course, those two main actors are probably two of my favorite actors to be with each other. In Hot Fuzz, they did it. In, what's that new one they're coming out with? Kooks of Camelot. Where they're going to portray two Knights of the Round Table.
Oh, God, I didn't even hear about that.
You didn't hear about that? Yeah,
No.
they're going to be portraying two Knights of the Round Table, two of the lesser-known knights.
I have to see that.
Yeah, I haven't. I've heard, they were talking about it on a BBC channel. Or sorry, they were talking about it on a British channel, and my buddy Simon sent me the message.
Yeah.
That they're going to start filming it, and basically it's going to be like they're trying to help Arthur by finding this special medallion that doesn't really exist because Arthur just sends him off on the quest.
Oh my God.
So it's going to be great. I can't wait. And of course,
Simon Pegg is so funny.
of course, they're going to play as the straight guy and the goof again. So you have that. Shaun of the Dead is just such a good movie that if you haven't seen it or Hot Fuzz, please go and do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
do it. Or we disown you.
Yeah,
I disown you.
she will disown you as a friend.
Yes. Offline.
Let's wait to go back. Let's wait to go back. It might come back. Give it a
Hey,
second.
there we are.
Are we back?
Yep.
Okay, folks, we had a slight hiccup there. I don't know what just happened, so welcome back.
Technically. I meant to write technical, I'm sorry.
Technically difficult. Yes, I am. Thank you for bringing that up. Everyone knows how technically difficult I am. I'm good for some.
Why you crying, you big baby?
When he goes on vacation, I'm going to spend the entire week curled up in a ball crying, so I just let you know.
He's gonna be here, so he's not allowed to.
No. I'll go hide out in the woods or something. But anyway, now that we're done talking about that, and we were talking about apparently we were just censored. iZombie didn't want us to tell them what was going on, so they just cut our fucking. Thank you, iZombie.
But I heard your show.
She gains a personality brain she eats. Ha! You can't stop me there. Ha! Too late. Which means if she eats the brain of some psychotic mass murderer, she technically becomes a psychotic mass murderer. Ooh, that's some kind of burn. Or we could talk about The Walking Dead. However, there's a reason I will not talk about The Walking Dead. It's because I actually respect... Now, I do not like The Walking Dead at all. It's stupid. But I do respect the director and author for how they portrayed it. How they portrayed it was that in that universe, the voodoo religion of Haiti never existed. Zombies never existed. There's no media of zombies. There's no zombie video games. There's no zombie movies. There's no zombies anywhere. So when these walkers showed up, nobody knows they're zombies. Everyone thinks they're just sick people. That's awesome! But because they're not technically zombies, I can't use them. Loopholes! But let's get to the most important part, the reason everyone's actually here. Video games. And boy, are there a lot of zombie video games. There's even a lot of zombie-like issues in video games. For instance, The Flood from Halo, clickers from The Last of Us. Let's see, what are some other good examples of undead? Head crab zombies from Half-Life. And even the possessed soldiers from the new Metal Gear game. All technically fall into the category of zombie. Although in all those categories, it's not the body, it's actually just a parasite. So, I consider those more like alien possession kind of deal, you know. It's not the host, it's the creature. It's symbiotic, you know. But what I can bring up are some interesting ones. First of all, Call of Duty, any of the zombies. I do enjoy these games.
Hang on, since he just passed, we might as well just call it the Mob of the Dead one.
Yes.
For George Romero, who played in it.
Jared says, neither was the zombies in Night of the Living Dead. They weren't called zombies. No, but that kicked off the craze. And this is my list, so shut the fuck up or I'm going to find you. Anyway.
It's not that hard.
Yeah. Now, the thing about Call of Duty Zombies is that the reason I'm not so much into them as far as zombies go is they don't retain a lot of zombie-like qualities. Now, that being said, I know I mentioned a lot of movies that don't have zombie-like qualities. What I mean is, like, these zombies basically burst out of the ground from fiery pits of hell. They are teleported in by aliens. most of them have like giant chunks of metal sticking through them or electricity bursting off them. I see them more as monsters, but it is a fun game mode to play in. I'm actually just waiting for them to actually make just zombies. Just take the Call of Duty right out of it and just put zombies in. That's what I'm waiting on.
I said that'd be cool.
Yeah, just the entire game is just zombies. That's what they need to play in. World of Warcraft 3 / Warcraft 3 / World of Warcraft. Where did I butcher that one a bit? There's a group called the Scourge, which are literally the living dead. They were created by what I believe is a magical curse. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe they thought it was a disease, but it turned into be a magical curse. This is an entire race of people that were viciously and racially attacked by the human beings into being thrown out into the wastelands, and then the Horde befriended them. That's right, the Horde are the good guys. Suck it, you Alliance tards. Anyway, they come in all shapes and sizes, from regular ghouls up to those gigantic abominations. And they're basically, they retain their intellectual capabilities. I mean, somewhat damaged in some cases, but it's just destroyed, and that's what it is. Minecraft even has zombies, although those ones portray the usual zombies, except a bullet to the head isn't required to kill them.
No.
In fact, in none of these games is that required. And they basically just really upset you in case one gets stuck in your wall and you can't sleep because there's a freaking monster nearby. That being said,
Or when they pop out from around a random block.
yeah, because that
And then there's like 6 more of them behind that wall.
right, because that's the only place in the area that's dark enough for them to be spawned, and they just rush you.
Yeah.
But let's get into another ridiculous one. How about Plants vs. Zombies?
Very fun game.
Literally, you're playing as a gardener that has somehow militarized plant life with wonderful things like pea shooters, corncob missile launchers, pumpkin pulse, explosive cherry bombs, potato mines, to fight against things such as the Michael Jackson zombie, which dances backwards, playing Thriller, summoning a bunch of zombies around him to then attack you.
Football zombie.
That just run forward. Pole vaulting zombies that can leap over your defenses. Even zombies that have a bunch of balloons tied around their butt. I don't know why, but it happens. Then we have like DayZ, and you know, DayZ isn't that bad. It kind of portrays the zombies as what they usually are: slow moving, somewhat stupid, but dangerous. On the other hand, then you have games like Dead Rising, where your character literally beats the hell out of things with Nerf guns while wearing a small dress, riding on a tricycle.
Yep.
Nothing says beat up a zombie like giving one a freaking German suplex. And then, of course, one of my personal favorites, Left 4 Dead, where you have the zombies, which are just basically I'm going to call them like rage zombies from Left 4 Dead, or sorry, from 28 Days Later. And then you have things like the Boomer, the Tank, the Charger, and like I said,
And the Witch.
And the Witch, old witch, the Wicked Witch. And just to be honest with you, the reason why I didn't want to talk about the zombies in The Walking Dead is, 1, I can't stand it, and 2, I can't stand it. You know what's scarier than The Walking Dead? Watching that show that comes after it, not Living Dead.
Talking with the Dead.
Yeah, Talking with the Dead. That's scarier, to my opinion, because those people, they don't know how to act in the TV show, and they sure as hell don't know how to act in real life. So in closing, I guess my argument is this. While zombies are portrayed as these vicious, bloodthirsty monsters, with some exceptions, that are designed to basically kill, plunder, and destroy, I gotta say that, all in all, they're not portrayed nearly how... What did you do?!
I dropped the gun.
She dropped the gun!
I don't know where it went.
She's got a gun. She's got a gun! Okay. I don't think that they're portrayed well enough. I honestly think that they're misportrayed. Because, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, zombies according to the religious background, were created to be servants, so that these priests and priestesses didn't have to do this heavy work, and so that they could help their communities, so they didn't have to do all this heavy work. And the big thing is that once that those zombies were done with, the priests and priestesses would release the spirits to the heavens. They're not trapped forever in this toilful, melting body. And to look at these movies and video games and animes and cartoons and say this is how they want to portray zombies, it makes me think that nobody was doing their homework. Then again, I think it'd be pretty boring to have Bob the Voodoo Doctor. Can we fix this brains?
Well, if we hire Bob the Uber driver's cousin.
Oh, you're right. We can get him because we need Bob the Uber driver. Yep. In case you guys don't know that, go watch a few of our Turbo Dismount videos. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm done talking your ear off about zombies, so we're going to move into the most intelligent and good-looking out of all of us. And trust me, she's definitely better looking than I am. The Kitten of Doom and her ghost boo-boos.
Yes.
Take it away, kitten.
Okay, so I'm gonna start off with history. Just like any other. Crap, I can't do that. You can watch the chat, right?
That's what I'm doing now.
Okay, sorry.
I'm taking over for you.
Okay. Anyway.
Actually, that's the reason why I chose to go first this time. You guys always get to talk to the chat. I don't get to talk to the chat.
Fine. God. Alright, so.
I don't ever get to talk to the chat.
No one cares. As with most cultures, there's always variations on their beliefs, on how they handle different things, so it goes the same with ghosts.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Starting off with ancient Egypt. There's many references to ghosts in Mesopotamia. Ghosts were thought to be created at the time of death, taking on the memory and personality of the dead person. They traveled to the netherworld where they were assigned a position and led an existence similar in some ways to that of the living. This part, I think, is really freaking cool.
Okay.
Relatives of the dead were expected to make offerings of food and drink to the dead to ease their conditions. If they did not, the ghost could inflict misfortune and illness on the living.
Ooh.
So treat your dead right.
Exactly.
Or else.
Pretty much. Egyptian believed that the afterlife was consistently evolving, that there was always changes being made. So there wasn't one theory on what the afterlife was like. I can't speak today.
It's okay.
The other cool thing is they were the ones who came up with the Book of the Dead. It basically compiles all of the beliefs from different periods of the ancient Egyptian history. And in modern times, the fanciful concept of the mummy coming back to life and wreaking vengeance has spawned a whole new genre of horror stories, films, stuff like that. And we actually got into a bit of a talk earlier about whether mummies were considered to be the undead, zombies, or spirits, ghosts. And we came to the conclusion that it would be more of a ghost thing just because of the fact that they are their own self-contained being. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Skipping next to archaic and classical Greece. Ghosts appeared in Homer's Odyssey and Iliad, in which they were described as vanishing as vapor into the earth. Homer's ghosts had little interaction with the world of the living. Periodically, they were called upon to provide advice or prophecy, but they did not appear to be particularly feared. Ghosts in the classical world often appeared in the form of vapor or smoke, but at other times they were described as being substantial, appearing as they had at the time of their death, complete with the wounds that killed them. This part's interesting because in the 5th century BC, classical Greek ghosts had become haunting, frightening creatures who could work to either good or evil purposes. And cemeteries were places that the living avoided. They didn't come visit them like they do now. Which I think is a really interesting fact.
That is pretty good, actually.
The dead were to be ritually mourned through public ceremony, sacrifice, and libations, or else they might return to haunt their families. The ancient Greeks held annual festivals to honor and palisade? I don't know what that word is. The spirits of the dead, to which the family's ghosts were invited.
It's not important.
And after it was over, they were firmly invited to leave until the same time next year. The first ghost in classical Greece appeared in 5th century BC in a play called Oresteia. And it includes the appearance of a ghost called Clymenstra. I probably butchered that, but anyway.
That's fine.
I looked into the actual play, and it's pretty cool. If you want to know more about it, you should definitely look it up. It's spelled Oresteia.
Before you go any further, someone brought up the All Hail the Necronomicon.
You know what the Necronomicon is?
The Book of the Dead. Yes. I know.
Actually, technically, it's the Book of Life, but we'll continue anyway.
Anyway, so the Oresteia is a trilogy of Greek tragedies. I tried looking up to see if I could find a YouTube video on the play. Unfortunately, I was unable to. But I will be further investigating that, and if I find out anything, I'll let you know.
Cool, cool.
Next, we have the Roman Empire and the late antiquity. This is really freaking awesome. When I first read this, I couldn't believe it, because I had no idea that they did stuff like this. So the ancient Romans actually believed that a ghost could be used to exact revenge on an enemy by scratching a curse on a piece of lead or pottery and placing it into a grave.
That's probably where the idea of wraiths came from.
Yes. And
see, I know things.
yes, I know you know things.
I'm not as think as you dumb I am.
Also, that goes along with the whole mummies a little bit too, because normally the curses were if you took something of theirs.
Right, right.
So, basically, summarizing this, they have the same beliefs, that they should be attributed. That's the wrong word.
Respected?
Yes. And,
revered?
yes. And they also believed that
Sorry.
the skeleton had to have a proper burial, or else they would come back and haunt you. So that's where that came from. In the Middle Ages, ghosts were reported to fall into two categories: the souls of the dead or demons. The souls of the dead returned for a specific purpose. Demon ghosts existed only to torment or tempt the living. The living could tell them apart, and this part is really freaking weird, but the living could only tell them apart by demanding their purpose in the name of Jesus Christ. The soul of a dead person would divulge their mission, while a demonic ghost would be banished at the sound of the holy name. Most ghosts were souls assigned to purgatory, condemned for a specific period to atone for their transgressions in life. Their penance was generally related to their sin. For example, the ghost of a man who had been abusive to his servants was condemned to tear off and swallow bits of his own tongue.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, right?
That's some brutalism right there.
Uh-huh. The ghosts appeared to the living to ask for prayers to end their suffering. Other souls returned to urge the living to confess their sins before their own death. So it's pretty interesting how they're different from all of the other variations of the ghost.
It's kind of funny how all these different groups all visualize spirits, but they also have different variations on why they exist. It's kind of weird to think about it, that all these different groups from around the world all felt the same way.
Yeah. Where am I at? China. China's freaking cool. I like theirs. So, there are many references to ghosts in Chinese culture. Even Confucius said, respect ghosts and gods, but keep away from them. There's another one where they're urging you to stay away. The ghosts take many forms depending on how the person died and are often harmful. Many Chinese ghost beliefs have been accepted by neighboring cultures, notably Japan and Southeast Asia. Ghost beliefs are closely associated with traditional Chinese religion based on ancestor worship, most of which were incorporated in Taoism. later influenced by Buddhism, and in turn influenced and created uniquely Chinese Buddhist beliefs. The annual Ghost Festival is celebrated by Chinese around the world. On this day, ghosts and spirits, including those of the deceased ancestors, come out from the lower realm.
Take you away.
So that's pretty interesting.
That is.
Take you
The
away.
next one is one of my favorites. This is Tibet. Ghosts may be killed with a ritual dagger or caught in a spirit trap and burnt, thus releasing them to be reborn. Ghosts may also be exorcised, and an annual festival is held throughout Tibet for this purpose. Some say that Dijor Shugden maybe? The ghost of a powerful 17th century monk is a deity, but the Dalai Lama asserts that he is an evil spirit, which has caused a split in the Tibetan exile community.
That's actually really nifty right there.
Yeah.
On one half of the subject, he's a ghost deity. On the other half, he's the reason why there's the split. That's pretty cool.
The last culture I'm going to talk about is Mexico.
Oh,
Mexican
yeah.
culture.
I love this.
So, the modern state of Mexico is inhabited by people such as the Mayan, the Aztec. Their beliefs in the supernatural world have survived and evolved, combined with the Catholic beliefs of the Spanish conquest.
Nick, stop swiveling in your chair, damn it.
The
You're interrupting her.
The Day of the Dead incorporates pre-Columbian beliefs with Christian elements. The Day of the Dead is a holiday celebrated in Mexico and by Latin Americans living in the United States and Canada. The holiday focuses on gatherings of family and friends to pray for and remember friends and family who have died. The celebration occurs on November 2nd in connection with the Catholic holidays of All Saints' Day, which is November 1st, and All Souls' Day, which is November 2nd. Traditions connected with the holiday include building private altars honoring the deceased using sugar skulls, marigolds, and the favorite foods and beverages of the departed, and visiting graves with these gifts. The Day of the Dead celebrations in Mexico can be traced back to the indigenous cultures. Rituals celebrating the death of ancestors have been observed by these civilizations perhaps for as long as 2,500 to 300 years.
That's actually quite impressive right there.
Yeah. And it says the festivities were dedicated to the god known as the Lady of the Dead, corresponding to the modern Katrina.
Actually, I have something to go with that right there. If you don't mind me jumping in for 2 seconds. Okay, so recently there was a game that came out called Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now in Pokemon Sun and Moon, you had 3 standard starters. You had a fire type, which was a cat. You had the water type, which was a seal. But then you had a grass type that was a owl. Now the weird thing is, on its final evolution, it becomes a ghost grass type. It loses its flying type and becomes a ghost owl. Now the thing is, that Lady of Death that you just mentioned, one of the thing is that she is that one of her forms was that of a ghostly owl, which was actually what it was based off of in Pokemon Sun and Moon. How about that? I learned that from Gaijin Goomba, so if you guys want to take a look at him, go ahead. He's awesome. Sorry, kitten.
No, that's...
Gaijin Goomba does this show called Culture Shock, where he talks about like how different things in video games are actually portrayed from different cultures, and that's one of the ones I actually remembered, where the Lady of Death from Mexico is actually where the idea from the owl became, because her servants were regular owls, and then when the owl passed on, its spirit then served her.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yep. The more you know.
Right? But if you notice, the Mexican tradition, the Day of the Dead, is very similar to the classical Greece, how they celebrate, and then also the Chinese with their festival, and Tibet with theirs. So if you're noticing, they all have similarities, even though most of their beliefs are different.
Right, but that's another thing that I was talking about. You know, isn't it strange how certain things, for instance, the idea of dragons, how they exist throughout the entire world without people of these worlds ever meeting. Mexico has had this celebration for over 2,000 years, like you stated. Oh, so have the Chinese. And it's all based on revering the dead and wanting to remember them and everything like that. 2 different cultures from the halfway across the world initiative. But yet they have the same things. Strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Alright, sorry to keep interrupting. I'm a horrible person.
No, you're fine. So moving on to ghosts portrayed in movies. First one is my absolute favorite ghost. And if you've never seen this movie, I will never, ever, ever speak to you again. I don't want you anywhere near me. I will hate you for life. And that is Casper.
The friendly ghost.
I love Casper. That movie is my all-time favorite. I will watch it a gazillion times and it never gets old.
Oh, yeah? I'm so old, I actually remember the cartoon series of Casper. That's how old I am. I am older than I'm older than the Ghost Tales.
You're only 5 years older than I am.
Yeah, shut up.
That's just what I let you guys know. Kaiju's age really well.
No, you're only 5 years older than us.
Anyway, so obviously Casper in the movie was not anywhere near how you would imagine them to be in real life. Casper was an upside-down teardrop-looking figure.
He was kind of tubby.
Yeah, but he
Big
was
head.
adorable and cute.
Yeah, well, you also got to mention that there were 3 other ghosts that were equally.
I don't care about them.
Okay, listen. I will admit that Stinky and Stretch were just fucking jerks.
Yeah.
Okay, but the only reason Fatso was a jerk, because if you watch the movie, he was always the one that was the most caring towards Casper.
Yeah.
The only reason he was a jerk is because he was basically forced to be, or else they would just beat him up. He was constantly being attacked by Stinky and Stretch.
I still don't like them.
Well, you don't have to like them, but at least give Fatso kind
There's
of...
3 other ghosts.
I was just saying, just give Fatso the reasonable doubt. Because in the cartoon series, Fatso was the loving uncle.
Yeah.
They just portrayed him stupidly in the movies. Anyway, please go on.
Okay. The next one is Jacob Marley from A Christmas Carol.
Jared says he remembers Casper and Wendy in the cartoons. Wendy was the little girl that was Casper's friend.
Yeah.
So please continue. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Jacob Marley from A Christmas Carol.
Ooh,
He
that's good.
was a vapor-looking figure who was chained up.
He was also Scrooge's business partner,
That as well.
who passed on and has to hold his chains for the rest of eternity.
Yes.
Mhm.
I think that's a little more realistic because that just kind of binds on a lot of different levels. Because he wasn't only chained because of his physical chains, but also his emotional chains.
And as far as how spirits are stated in the various groupings, he also seems to hold true to a lot of them. He is there and for all eternity until his soul is saved, and he is a vengeful spirit. He basically tells Scrooge straight up, hey, if you don't start fucking up, and you don't listen to these 3 spirits that are coming to say hi to you, you're going to be like me.
Next one is Barbara and Adam from Beetlejuice.
And let's not forget Beetlejuice himself.
Yeah, but I'm more focused on that.
Yeah, sure, you know, forget the main character of the movie.
It's not like his name doesn't remember.
Beetlejuice, you know?
He has the title of the movie. He doesn't get a call out in this one. Anyway.
She's high, I don't mind her.
No, see, if she were high, she'd be agreeing with us. She's obviously not high. Kick his ass.
Anywho.
Look, you haven't knocked him out of the chair all episode yet. We're like 45 minutes in. Knock him out of the chair.
I have time.
56 minutes, actually.
They were lifelike figures who were able to interact with the living, but it was interesting how it was done. The parents of...
Olivia.
Thank you.
No problem.
They couldn't see Barbara and Adam at first. And it was interesting of why. They tried all these different things. They just could not get them to see them. But the little girl, she was able to see them no problem. So that kind of makes me think about how when they say, oh, well, you know, little kids can see ghosts and spirits. I really think that's true. And that also ties in with a real life experience I had as a kid, but I'm not going there right now. moving on.
Kitten, I hate to do this, but Jared's making a shot at your Beetlejuice moment. So you said Beetlejuice is in the movie. He's got his name in the title. He doesn't need the billing anymore. So he goes, but Casper was the main character in this movie, and he was mentioned.
That's something for you. You want to see it?
Pop goes the weasel.
Okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
Next one is from Harry Potter, Moaning Myrtle.
Ooh.
We first see her in the Chamber of Secrets. She makes little appearances in the other movies afterwards, but that's her main shot, where we see her the most. She's just a vapid figure. That's all she really is.
Yeah, but she can interact physically with people, which is weird.
Yes.
I'll say this one right now, because we haven't had a moment like this in a while. Juggernaut says it was worth it. Moaning Myrtle was called Moaning Myrtle because she was constantly crying.
Mm.
But if I were in Hogwarts, she'd be called Moaning Myrtle for a different reason. Oh, thank you! Oh! Give that girl a reason to moan! Yeah!
Who did not see that one coming?
Giggity. Sorry. Keep going.
Okay. The next one I have to point out is The Sixth Sense. I just love the way that movie was done. Because it keeps you... And spoiler alert if you've never seen it, but if you haven't seen it, again, where have you been?
Well, what happened is they probably heard that M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong is such a bad director that they just didn't go to see it.
Watch it or die.
Wow. Maybe you'll become a ghost for our next freaking conversation.
Yes.
Now, I gotta say this much. The problem I had with The Sixth Sense is within the first, I'd say, 15 minutes of the movie, I figured out that he wasn't alive.
But see, not everybody did. I didn't realize it until the end.
I know, but it's like, there were just certain things that came off, and it's like, he's a fucking ghost, isn't he? And at the end of the movie, when they bring up the big reveal, it's like, I knew he was a ghost. And then the next time he showed up, he's fucking unbreakable. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much what I thought was cool about it.
Well, it's an amazing...
He's going through all these steps in his life, living like usual, but he doesn't realize he's dead.
I also like the fact that it's such a well-designed twist. The movie has the right combination. It's like a detective noir with just that right amount of sprinkling of the supernatural.
Yeah.
I like that. And of course, another thing is, while it wasn't mentioned in any of your examples there, I can't remember who it is. I believe it's Denmark or Sweden, where the reason spirits stay around is because they haven't been told yet that they're dead.
Yeah, that actually didn't pop up in any of the history I read.
I know, I realized that, and I remember hearing it. I think it was Sweden, where they mentioned that the reason that they have these ceremonies where they call out the person's name and they say that you're dead, you can pass on, is because the spirit is usually amongst them and doesn't realize that they're dead. So that kind of makes The Sixth Sense work out even better.
Bring out your dead.
Wrong movie, wrong reason.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's a Black Plague joke for Monty Python.
I know.
Completely different category. All right, please.
But that is very freaky.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, how many of us are actually dead and we just don't know it yet?
Oh, I am. I'm not really here.
You're right there.
No, I'm actually a figment of your guys' imaginations. That's why people keep asking about me.
It's mindfuck. It just twists with your brain. You're like, holy shit, am I alive? Is all this real?
Hey, I'm about to be in with the chair. If it goes through him, we all know he's...
Listen, if it goes through me and you break the computer, then who's going to fix it?
I'm going to do it that way. I'm not aiming for the computer.
Okay.
Continue on. Continue on.
So now I'm going to kind of move on to movies that are based on real life events.
Okay.
Because a lot of these are really cool. The first one I'm going to go with is one of the very, very first ones.
Now, before you say that, allow me to make a quick trigger warning. Okay? Now, folks, I know there's a lot of skeptics out there. There's a lot of people that are going to say, oh, these aren't based off of an actual live event. Listen, if you can't prove or disprove it, just shut up, okay?
Yeah, I don't want to hear your shit.
I've had too many arguments with friends about things like that you can neither prove nor disprove. It's sort of like the whole idea of evolution and science and God saying that he just evolved the people. Well, here's the thing. What if God invented evolution? Mind blown. So, if you're going to be one of those people that's going to make the comments about these aren't based off of real events, just keep them to yourself, okay?
Yeah.
I will delete your comments. I will not put them up. There you go. Because I know there's going to be somebody who's going to say something. I know it.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
And I will personally hunt you down and beat your ass. Moving on. The Amityville Horror. That's the first one I'm going with. That is a cult classic, as they would say.
Oh, it is.
I am
It's
talking
great.
about the original Amityville Horror from 1970 freaking 9. Not this new age bullshit that they came out with 2 years ago or whatever the hell they came out with.
I know 1979, but not 1975.
Swear to God. You know what? Where's Cody?
He's over here. Get in your damn chair.
Going down.
Get in your damn chair. You know what's coming.
Alright, so, for anybody who hasn't seen it, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a short blurb about what happened. So, on November 13th, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his family at 112 Ocean Avenue, a large Dutch colonial house situated in a suburban neighborhood in Amityville on the south shore of Long Island, New York. So, that's relatively close to where we are. So, that's relatable for me. He was convicted of second-degree murder in November 1975. In December of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz and their 3 children moved into the house. After 28 days, the Lutzes left the house, claiming to have been terrorized by paranormal phenomena while living there. If you want to see more detail about it or hear more detail about it, either watch the movie or go on Wikipedia and search it, because there is so much. There is literally pages this long stating all the events that happened, all the occurrences, everything freaky that went on. It details it all. We don't have the time to go into it now, so if you're interested, look it up, or even send us a message and I'll respond back to you.
Now, before we go on, Jared wrote, the remake was an updated scene from scene movie. Well, while this is true, the unfortunate part is that the horrible special effects they added to it really made it look like crap. The original movie was dark, foreboding, and scary, and the remake was a bunch of angels on the bed pop out and scream hello at somebody. There's a level of difference here. CGI has to look good. That CGI looked like shit. Please do continue. Oh, flower of the monsters.
So the next one is The Conjuring. That one came out more recently. Oh, and there is a segue between most of these, which I'll point out later.
Okay.
So the next one is The Conjuring. So basically what happened was in 1971, Roger and Carolyn Perrin moved into a dilapidated farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island with their 5 daughters. Their dog Sadie refused to enter the house, and one of the children, while playing a game of hide and clap, finds a boarded up entrance to a cellar. So pretty much from there, paranormal events start happening. You know, the whole 3:07 a.m. creepy stuff starts going on. They're freaking out. Their dog is found dead in the backyard. There is so much that happens. And yeah, okay, it's not an exact replica of the true events that happen, but it does have similarities, and it is somewhat following the storyline. So again, that's another thing. If you want to look into it further, look into it or contact me.
That would be at themodernstersofgaming@gmail.com, #KittenOdoom.
Thank you. So the one thing I do have to point out, in the beginning of The Conjuring, there's a creepy ass porcelain doll, which is called Annabelle, which is made into a whole nother movie. I haven't seen it. I'm not going to go there because I don't even want to. Dolls creep me out. Just like dummies, they freak me out too.
Well, I hate to be the one that says it, but in the movie Annabelle, the funny thing about it is every time it catches over to the original Annabelle, like the actual doll, it is literally doing nothing.
Yeah.
It just like sits there and then happens. It's like everyone's blaming the doll, and the ghosts are just like, "You'll see this, man. You'll still think it's the doll. Watch as much as I'm gonna move the doll. Okay, watch as much as." Okay, Put it in the kitchen. Shh. Now knock over a bunch of plates. Psh. It was Annabelle! Ah, you see that shit right there? That's funny shit right there! That's just how I feel about it. It's like paranormal activity. It was fucking ninjas. That's what it was.
Don't get me started on
it. Was
it was the bear.
No, that was what the
bear always was in the same room.
That's the ninjas. They were making you pay attention to the bear so you wouldn't see them. They just didn't like the people in the house. And before we get on a little further, there's something I have to say.
Whack activity was okay.
Shut up. Okay, there is a stereotype going around that I have to bring up. And the stereotype is that white people will stay in haunted houses regardless. Let me explain something to you. At the beginning of the Amityville Horror, there is a scene where the house screams, "Get out." At that point in time, I would vanish faster than a pair of rims at a Puff Daddy concert. I would return with a couple gallons of gasoline, though, and I would make sure the house was taken care of. But there is no way in hell I'm going to stay into a house that literally tells me to get the fuck out. Molly, what's that house made of glass over there? Oh, it's full of 13 ghosts. You want to go in? No. Fuck that. Are you sure? But you're white like I am. Quit being a racist. Get in that house and die for me.
Yeah, see, I can't agree with that. But
really?
That's because
you'd stick to a house that might beat the shit out of you?
I have done paranormal investigating. That's something a lot of you might not know about me. But I actually would go out with a group.
Geek alert! Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Oh wait, remember.
Oh, you knocked my bloody fan over. Nick will apologize.
Sorry, but not sorry.
Right, I'll get the.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I knocked over your fan.
It's okay. I was expecting it. Cody, are you okay, buddy?
Ow,
he's on your shit. That's why I told you to sit down. You okay? You actually okay, Kitten?
Yeah, I don't think I'm bleeding. No.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna sit back down.
Okay.
Cody, get off the chair so Nick can sit down.
Moving on, because I forgot where I was at.
You were just talking about how you were a geek.
Yeah. So
how you were a giant, massive geek like the rest of us.
Yep, and I'm proud of it.
And you're proud of it.
So yeah, I used to go out and I used to investigate said haunted houses. And you'd be surprised. You know, some people will sit there and argue and say, oh, it's not real and this, that, the other thing. But if you've had experiences like I've had, you would start to question things and think differently. I can't say 100% sure that, yeah, they're ghosts or they're spirits or whatever, but there's definitely something else besides a normal human entity.
Well, like I said, that's the problem I have a lot with naysayers, okay? Now, this is a moment where I'm going to ramble for a few seconds, so give me the benefit of the doubt. Naysayers are one of those people that I actually feel very sorry for. These are people that there's no such thing as UFOs. There's no such things as aliens. There's no such things as ghosts. The problem is that you can neither prove nor disprove these facts. The same thing goes for religion. You can neither prove nor disprove religions exist. Because the only way to find out is to kick the bucket. There's no way of finding out. But there's these naysayers, and we're going to hear about them, and they're going to talk. They're like, you just went to those places and you got weirded out, so that's why you thought there were ghosts. But you know what? Can you prove that? Can you disprove any of that? You can't. And that's why geeks like us exist. We're not the naysayers. I'm not going to turn it down. I've had my experiences in places I will never go back to. We've all had experiences that we cannot explain. And even you, the people who are watching this now and the people who are watching it after it's over, even you've had experiences that you can't explain. And just because somebody does something different and says this about it, doesn't mean that's wrong. So, Kitten, you did paranormal investigations. I know that Juggernaut Jared has also done them. I have never done them, but I have been into places, certain places that I don't need to bring up, that I've experienced things in that I cannot explain, that I have emptied clips into, but I cannot explain. Even Necro has had experiences. Now, whether it be paranormal, tricks of the mind, demons, subliminal messaging, whatever it happens to be, just try to keep an open book. Right? Just let your mind flow. Please continue.
Okay. The next one I'm going to talk about is the Smurl family. Now that one is really personal because it is like, what?
Did you say the squirrel family?
Smurl.
Smurl. Sorry. Okay. I'm sorry.
And for anybody wanting to look it up later, it's S-M-U-R-L. Family. Now, they were a family who lived in Pittston, Pennsylvania, which is really not that far from me. It's like a 20-minute drive, if that.
Mm-hmm.
So this was something that was local to me. So obviously, I have a little more feeling about it. Basically, what happened was there was a family, and it was two adults called Jack and Janet Smurl. And basically, they reported their house was disturbed by numerous supernatural phenomena, including sounds, smells, and apparitions. Basically, what happened was they had a couple of paranormal investigators come in, and I will talk about them in a minute, and they claimed that the Smurl home was occupied by 3 spirits and a demon that also sexually assaulted Jack and Janet. The Smurls' version of their story was the subject of the 1986 paperback titled The Haunted and a 1991 made-for-TV movie of the same name. What did I miss?
So what you're saying is that the ghost is bisexual.
That's what you get me on.
I'm sorry! I'm sorry! It's just,
Are you sure you want to tip me over or him?
I'll tip myself over and she knows it. I'm so sorry. It just came to mind.
Are you done?
I'm going to be quiet for the rest of your viewing.
So anyway, so to go back to where I was going with this, the couple of paranormal investigators go by the name of Ed and Lorraine Warren. They are famous, known paranormal investigators. They have been to some of the most critically acclaimed, famous paranormal spots. You can see their work, Google them. They'll tell you every place that they've ever investigated, the different things that they've done. They are really amazing people in my eyes. Unfortunately, Ed Warren has passed away. He's been dead since 2006. But Lorraine Warren is still alive. And there's actually a place that does a luncheon with her. You can actually go sit down with her for lunch, talk to her, get to know her a little bit, ask her some questions. I am dying to do that. So if anybody's watching in the paranormal field and can hook me up, you know, just leave a comment below. That'd be awesome. Thanks.
Maybe we could do a live stream about it.
Yeah.
We could get her on a live stream. That'd be
nice.
awesome. It'd be awesome if we could do it around Halloween, too.
That'd be freaking cool. I'm gonna have to work on that. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have for the paranormal investigating side of things. For, you know, movies that were based on real events. Now, one of my favorite paranormal shows is Ghost Adventures. There's other ones out there. I can't remember the names of all of them. Honestly, I haven't seen them. I'm sorry, paranormal community. Really sorry.
Ghost
I'll get there
Hunters?
eventually. Huh?
Ghost Hunters?
Yeah, I guess they're another one.
They're literally right down the road from you.
Oh.
They literally live right in Pittston.
Oh. I didn't know.
Their home base, I think it's either Pittston or Pittsburgh, but their home base like real close to you.
Oh. Well, sorry, Ghost Hunters. But anyway, Ghost Adventures, basically what they do is, it's a group of paranormal investigators. Zach is the main dude. He's funny. I love him. And
Is this the group that screams at the ghosts?
they don't really scream at
Because I was I'm sorry to interrupt again. I'm going to keep doing this. I don't know why. I was watching one on like the Travel Channel or something, and they're like,
They're always on Travel
it's like,
Channel.
the only reason you're talking to me is girls, you're a pussy! And they're like screaming and just
Oh
like,
yeah.
Yes.
It's like,
They-
dude, do not fuck with the paranormal. One of these
That
days,
does that a lot.
If you actually...
one of these days they're gonna do that, and they're just gonna take a fucking table to the
Now
face.
listen, if you actually watch their series, you would understand that they don't always provoke the ghosts.
No.
They know better.
I know.
They
I'm just saying that.
do it when people are being harmed and they need to have some kind of resolution.
I'm just saying that one of these days they're going to do it,
Well,
and one of them's going to get smacked with a table or something.
Had stuff happen to them. They get scratched all the time.
No,
they get stuff thrown at them.
I want something like literally big to hit them. Like they're screwing with an ex-marine or something, and they just literally like you see the guy get picked up and put through a table or something, you know. Because you have honestly you've missed a very important and very well-known movie series that is about paranormal investigation, saving people from the paranormal, and it's a comedy. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Something changed in the name.
I skipped over Ghostbusters for a reason.
Well, unfortunately, you got caught by it. Ghost Nappa!
Nah, Ghostbusters.
Alright, so that's all I have for that because I don't really know video game stuff, so Kyle can help me.
Okay, welcome back, folks, to the show. I'm Kaiju K, and with me here is Necro Nick.
Hello.
And the Kitten Doom.
Hey.
And we're going to bring up famous ghosts in video games. Now, ghosts show up in a lot of video games, and I could be here forever with them, especially since a lot of the games that do exist with the whole ghost inventory idea happen to be games that never came to the States. But for the most part, let's talk about some of the most common ones, and we'll move from there. First of all, my personalization, the very first ghosts to show up would be Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde. The 4 ghosts from the original Pac-Man series.
Yep.
Which then became part of the animated cartoon series. Which was very creepy, if you ask me.
Yes.
Next up, we have the entire Fatal Frame series. That's where the camera obscura comes from.
Yep.
In this game, you are basically a girl who's trying to find her sister, or a woman who's trying to find her daughter, a man who's trying to find her sister, etc. The stories are intertwined in one way, but they go to the Forest of Death, or the Hanging Forest of Japan. And they always find this ancient structure. And in it, they find the camera obscura. Now, the camera obscura is the only way to see these ghosts, and by taking pictures, you actually damage their souls. So, I mean, you can't naturally see them, and they will whoop your arse repeatedly if you don't. And there are some creepy, creepy moments in that game that will send a shiver up your spine. To go to a little bit more lighthearted, one of the original ghosts from the Nintendo series, Boo Diddley. A.k.a. the Boos, a.k.a. the ghosts from the Mario Brothers series. Now, they come in different shapes, they come in different sizes, they come in different colors, but they're the same really shy guys that want to stick their tongue at you when you're not looking. That was almost perfect timing.
I tried.
I know you did. I'm looking, and I'm like, she's gonna do it, and I slowly turn. As I turn, I see you stick your tongue out. I was like, ah. Also, let's not talk about all the ghosts that happen to be from Luigi's Mansion. The ghosts that show up in Kirby. The ghost himself that shows up in Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, which I believe his name was Sorrow. The Sorrow.
I think so.
Right. He's a ghost who attacks you with other ghosts unless you've not killed anybody. But then let's talk about Pokemon, which literally has an entire typing based on ghosts, including the devil himself, aka Giratina, who's basically the Emperor of Hell, which he actually states is he's the Emperor of Hell, basically. But what monsters would we be? Me and Necro. Us two. Without mentioning the one and only Alma from Fear. The little girl in the red dress that has caused me more distress than anything ever. Dark Souls ain't got on Alma.
I might have to play this game.
In fact, not only does she not screw with you a lot in the first game, but when she's there, it's just one of those moments where suddenly you're in the air. You know, you turn and start climbing down a ladder, and there's nothing behind you. But the second you start climbing down a ladder, she's there. Or you're climbing up a ladder, nothing bothering you, and then suddenly a hand reaches out to try to grab you. You freak out, you let go of the controller, your character falls down. These moments have just sent shivers up my spine ever since. And don't get me started on Alma from Game 2. She's a whole different level of crazy.
I'm gonna have to play this.
we will let you. I will gladly let you play Fear so you can understand the terror that is. Me and Necro have made a pact that not only will we not play the game alone, but we will also not play it at night. The shutters are open, the lights are beaming through. It's like my mother watching Children of the Corn. She'll watch it in the daytime, she will not watch it at night. I don't even think it was Children of the Corn. It could be Children. It was a horror movie that involved kids. It could have been Pet Sematary as well. And that's basically, as far as the list as I want to go with ghosts. I mean, once again, video games have ghosts all the time. And they take multiple forms. They take forms of spirits, they take forms of ghosts, they take forms of possessions. But we could literally be here all night, and we've already been here a while. So, without further ado, we'll bring this to the second best looking person in this room, Necro Nick.
Hello, everyone.
In case you're wondering, I'm the 10th best looking in this room.
There's not 10 people.
I count your multiple personalities before me.
Shut up.
I think I'm being glared at, but I can't see your face right now. Necro Nick will bring the bloodsuckers to the battlefield.
Yes. So, back in the day, cultures such as the what the hell is that first word? Mesopotamians, Hebrews, ancient Greeks, and Romans were actually the first ones to have at least lore on them. They were either vampires or demons with vampire abilities that they had. So they were the first ones to actually have anything related to them. The first time that was ever written about in English or like in America or England was in the 1745 in a travel log titled "Travels of the Three English Gentlemen," published in the Harleian. What's that word? Miscellany. So not a bad read, I guess. I don't know. I never picked up.
She's pointing at me.
What's he doing?
Not behaving.
Behave.
Well, first of all, I have to admit, it's kind of funny that at this moment I really can't see her all that well. So when I saw something, I'm like, "What is that?" Then I looked at the camera. Oh, she's pointing at me. I'm nearsighted, folks. I can't see crap.
Just throw stuff at you.
Also, back in the time of the Russian Orthodox Church, vampires were also said to have once been witches or people that rebelled against the church while they were alive. So that's some interesting info.
That actually kind of is, because okay. First of all, the whole Wiccan religion was something that was really hyped down against at that time. But to think that these beings would suddenly become vampires, a creature species that was basically fast-moving and powerful assassins, that would seem like something that the church wouldn't bring up because it would make them look stronger. Yeah. And yet they're mentioned. Odd.
Ways of it being, that they said that ways of it being passed through were through decomposition.
Marital?
No. Mature?
Premature
burial.
Oh, okay. My mind went somewhere else. I'm sorry.
Contagion. Porphyria. Rabies.
It's a disease.
Psychodynamic theories. Political
interpretations.
Okay.
Hey Nick, I hate to bring this up, but Juggernaut Jared writes, Necro Nick's trying to read with a smiley laughy face.
Thanks. Psychology or psychopathology, right? Psychopathology.
Yes.
That's actually a very interesting subject in case you guys have never actually heard of it.
Yes. Also, modern vampire subcultures and vampire bats were all ways that they were reported to be, per se, transferred.
So if a hippie bites you, you'll become a hippie.
Maybe.
Keep the hippies away from me! I don't want to become one!
I mean, if you actually go by mythological, or like more myths from like movies and books that were read, it gets into deeper things. Actually being bitten by said vampire.
Curses, magic, yeah.
And everything like that. But this is what Wiki and other resources said for realistic ways.
Sort of like the studies on zombieism.
What should I call it? Kyle may have not mentioned this, but I'm also doing kind of a werewolf thing as well with the vampires to go into their war.
I never brought it up. This is the first time it's being brought up.
So, let me pull up that page. So, oh, fuck.
Fuck. You know you're screwed when you hear Necro go, oh, fuck.
I know Middle Latin, and then from there I start getting lost.
Hang on. Let me see that.
While we're waiting for this to happen, I'd like to bring up a quick point to you guys. If anyone has any ideas of shirts they'd want to see us make, please put them down in the comments. Or send them to themonstersofgaming@gmail.com, #shirt ideas. Because if you're going to have one where it's Necro struggling to read, I already called that one, don't worry.
Okay. I'm going to butcher this.
Then I want a chance to butcher it too. Let me see.
Yay, we all, I mean, I would have butchered it more than they would.
Alright. Middle Latin, Girolfus, Angelo Norman Garwolf. Old.
Alright, so this is an Old Frankish. So, Middle Latin Jerupus, Angelo Norman Garwolf, Old Frankish Werewolf, .45. Old Norse had the Congate Volfar, but because of high importance of werewolves in Norse mythology, there was an alternative term for such Ulfions, or one in wolfskin, referring still to the totemism or cultural adoption of wolf nature rather than the superstitious belief in actual Germanic werewolf, which becomes associated with the witchcraft panic from around 1400s concept of the revenant or vampire. The transformation usually occurred in winter solstice, Easter, and the full moon. Nazi Germany used werewolf as the mythical creature's name is spelled in German, and in 1942 to 43 as a code name for one of Hitler's headquarters. Woo! Is that a mouthful or what?
Yeah, right?
In other words, once again, everything bad that could possibly happen has to do with Wiccans.
One point I did want to point out that he read in there was when it actually said that they were a concept of a revenant or a vampire. Now that may actually all work in with the war concept. Maybe vampires did not like the fact that they were getting them confused, and maybe that's why they went to war.
So, in other words, hipsters culture.
Pretty much.
We were the cool things first, not you! Yeah! I'm gonna throw all my hip kale at you because it's a super fruit. Yeah!
I mean, in theory, it could be true.
Right. Well, if you want to theorize it real quick, the only... looking at how vampires and werewolves exist, once again, I'm interrupting, I'm sorry. Is the fact that vampires feed on blood, werewolves feed on meat. So, theoretically, a war between the two doesn't actually make a lot of sense. Because the vampires could drain the blood, and then the werewolves could feast on the meat.
Right.
Also, werewolves did not require just human meat. Werewolves required large quantities of meat due to their size and metabolism.
They actually were not known to hunt actual humans. They were more to go hunt down a pack of wolves or deer or anything like that because they were easier prey.
So, I mean, that's why Necro actually went to go and investigate this whole combat situation, because theoretically, vampires and werewolves have no reason to actually clash with each other. a werewolf would actually be better off going and hunting down a full-grown deer that weighs 200, 300, 400 pounds than killing a scrawny human.
Yeah, which may weigh 200.
If you're lucky nowadays. And of course, if they're any way better than that, you're expecting them to have one hell of a weight problem. So
yeah. Now, if you want to go with the whole war concept that Wiki provided for us, according to many modern vampire stories, the vampire and the werewolf are natural enemies. In some stories, it has to do with competition for prey, which, I mean, I guess if per se the werewolves are in a heavily town, they may not be able to hunt. So that may be able to come into a factor.
Right, but once again, it also goes back to the fact that, okay, so the vampires need to feed instead of the werewolves, but it makes just as much sense for the vampires to feed and then call them the werewolves to cover up the trail. Oh, wait, Kitten is raising her hand. Kitten! And your shiny legs, what do you want?
So, it says, if you can believe Wikipedia, some ancient traditions believe that werewolves would become vampires after being killed. Before the end of the 19th century, the Greeks believed that the corpses of werewolves, if not destroyed, would return to life as vampires in the form of wolves or hyenas, which prowled battlefields drinking the blood of dying soldiers.
So, according to the wiki, according to this site, they're claiming that the werewolves become vampires.
Which may explain why they had a war, because normally back in the day they would burn the werewolves' bodies completely.
Right, but they might also have a separate reason for it. Now, if what she says is true, because if you think about it, now for every werewolf that dies, it comes back as competition.
That's why I was getting at.
So if they could destroy it and burn the body, that's less competition in the future.
Right.
But again, that's sort of like going back in time and killing Hitler as a child just to stop him from doing his atrocities. He hasn't done anything yet, so it's...
And some, the werewolves exist to protect humans from vampires, which is actually common in nowadays lores with some movies.
Well, it definitely makes sense in certain cultures, like for instance in the Norse cultures, where the werewolves, or the berserkers, if you were, which were the bear versions of werewolves, would be basically the warriors that defended the towns and everything by building themselves into a frenzy and then becoming these beasts. And the vampires would be trying to kill the humans, so the berserkers and everything. So it could have to do with Norse mythology as well.
Right.
Boy, we are just going really deep into this, aren't we? I thought we would be joking about video games, and we've talked more about the culture itself. I'm loving this.
And
that's what 2 hours of research does.
No, insert the theme. Do.
And in others, there is an ancient feud between the two factions that has continued through the centuries. So it's just a war that nobody knows about, but has been through decades and millions of years.
Well, Juggernaut would like to know, are we talking about psychic or sanguine vampires? Right now we're talking about sanguine. Okay? Psychic vampires are a lesser stratus and are more related to demons. That would be more along the lines of the Cubi species.
Yeah.
Beings that feed off of emotions and mental powers. They're more
we're
of a...
talking the bloodsuckers.
Yeah, we're talking the human leeches, the human mosquitoes, that kind of stuff.
I mean, if you want my personal opinion, I think I would say, to go with something that was in both of them, I think it has to do with competition. The werewolves becoming the revenants of vampires. Because if that's true, then why would the vampires want more if they're not being chose to become vampires?
Right. Well, I actually like to go with another one of the theories that came up, where the werewolves are more of the defenders. Because that kind of makes more sense. Not trying to throw the whole dogs are better than cats things back into the category. Because anthropes themselves, or skinwalkers, weren't always wolves.
No.
They're actually the most common type, but there are were-bats, there are were-owls, there are were-cats, there are were-tigers, there are were-lions, there are were-everything. In, I believe, the Nile, there's actually were-crocodiles.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's a big thing. But the other thing is the creatures that they're based off of tend to be creatures based off of worship or loyalty. Werewolves. Wolves are a sign of loyalty. Werecats are often seen as gods and are also loyal to defenders because Bast was the goddess of life and family. So a werecat would be very defensive towards protecting humans. Even were-crocodiles because Set was the god of the underworld, but he didn't believe that souls belonged there until their date. So even that kind of fits into the whole point of maybe these beings were created to be the counterbalance to the vampires, to try and protect the humans from the vampires, or in a sense, to try and keep them from becoming too out of control. My theory.
Now, if we were to move on to the video games that actually offer any insight about werewolves, there is not many, and for the ones that were listed, I actually never played, so I could never give any info about.
The only one I can think of is Altered Beast.
Right. Well, the thing about the whole vampire-werewolf war is they really haven't made any video games that extend to it.
I mean, vampire games, there are a decent amount of them. I would say there's probably about 20 or 30 out there.
I believe Vampire the Masquerade actually has something to do with lichens. I believe there's a part where there are lichens.
Okay.
But you are correct. In the most part, and the other thing is that it seems that only recently have the whole vampire-werewolf thing become big. Movies like Underworld, dare I say it, the Twilight, Blade to a lesser extent.
Because, I mean, they never actually dealt with werewolves.
Well, they dealt with something that was similar to werewolves in one of the Blade movies. I think it was Blade 4 or something like that.
No, Blade 3, yeah.
Blade 3?
Where they had the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's just become a more recent thing. And what I truly think is, another theory I have is that they had to set vampires up with something that they would have a chance against. Much like watching some of the more recent death battles, it doesn't make sense to set two groups against each other if one has a huge advantage over the other.
Right.
Whereas werewolves could only be killed by silver and direct blows to the head like a decapitation. Vampires were basically the same way. Yeah. So this kind of gives it a reason. It's sort of like Alien vs. Predator. You know, up until that point, the Predators have no reason to fuck with the aliens. The aliens have no reason to fuck with the Predators.
I mean, as Kyle said, Vampire's Blood Masquerade. That was, I hear that's a great game.
One of the best RPGs out there. I'm going to ask you to play it one day. You don't have to do a live stream of it, just like her. I'll have her play Fear first. Then she can try and do a live stream on it if she wants to. Or not live stream. Let's play.
What should we call it? Dark was another good one. I like that a lot.
Dark was interesting because it was vampire, but it was like, okay, you're strong, but you still know that you're going to get your ass kicked, so you got to be stealthy.
Yep. Which one we call it? You got Legend of Kane.
Right, you have that whole series of Soul Reaver.
Yep.
Which is also another great one.
You also got the lesser known and liked game, Rain.
Oh. Let's pretend that game doesn't exist, alright?
But
that game's just like Twilight, it doesn't exist.
Other than that, you don't got too many other ones out there.
Well, the thing about vampires in video games, other than, of course, classic Castlevania...
well, yes.
...is the fact that vampires are what I like to consider an A-class predator.
You ain't gonna have much to defend against.
Right. There's the B-class predators, which would be humans. There's the C-class, which would be natural predators, like lions and such. Then there's the A-class. These are the ones that hunt down human beings and are good at it. This would be vampires, this would be werewolves. But then there are the creatures that are even stronger than that, which are S-class, in my opinion. These would be things that are just, you can't stop them.
Kaijus.
Well, no, kaijus are in a separate category. That's not fair.
That's K.
That's not fair.
That's class K.
But what I'm talking about is like, okay, vampires can be stopped. Okay? If you go back to old traditions, you throw a bag of rice on the ground, they're forced to pick up and count every piece of rice. Okay, while they're doing that, you can easily put a stake through their back. Werewolves cannot approach an area where there's wolfsbane, and trust me, in Pennsylvania, it grows fucking everywhere.
Yes.
You walk out in the woods, there's wolfsbane everywhere. They're not going to come near you. But then there are things like Cubi, or aliens, or Terminator, or even for the most part, Jaws, or big sharks, rather. These are creatures that are top of the line, and they're really fucking hard to stop. And that's, the problem with making those into video game characters is there's that sensation behind them. I'm a vampire, so I am this big, powerful, good-looking, master of everything. I have 100+ years of experience on my back, and I'm about to take on a group of thugs with baseball bats. If I can't wipe the floor with these people, the game is instantaneously bad. And I think that's the problem people have with making games like that.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to talk vampire movies,
I can get onto that a lot.
30 Days of Night.
Let the Right One In. That was creepy.
Yeah.
That movie
was good though.
That movie creeped me out. I'm gonna fully admit it. That movie creeped me out.
But first, I'm gonna start with the king of vampire movies, Bram Stoker's.
Bram Stoker's. What about Nosferatu?
No, sorry.
Nosferatu came out 10 years before Bram Stoker.
Yeah, but sorry.
That's the original vampire, baby.
Brian
Don't you f*** Nosferatu. He knows what he's doing.
Brian Stoker's Dracula was way much better of a read, way better.
Can't knock him out of his chair for me. I'm going to just knock him out. But continue. Because you have to say one important one, or I'm going to have to bring it up because of my family.
I mean, I love that book. I still own it today. I think I have one of the first editions because I actually spent money on it. Whatchamacallit? The Blade movies really represented the abilities that vampires have within Blade and the third one within the Dracula that they claimed. Because, okay, with their weaknesses, okay, fuck what most of these movies do. Vampires were never actually weak to sun. They were able to walk out no problem in sunlight. They just had a sensitivity to it.
Right, they had trouble seeing in sunlight because their eyes weren't adjusted.
Okay, garlic. Well, fuck you on that.
Well, actually, I have a reason believing why garlic worked.
I was going to say, yes, I know the heightened senses could fuck with them.
Right, and they can't exactly turn it off. And if you've ever smelt garlic's strong, but imagine your sense of smell like 20 times over.
But I can't see that being deadly.
Oh no, it would never be deadly, but it would be a deterrent. Wolfsbane isn't deadly to werewolves, but they just don't like the smell of it.
Holy water. Well, we already proved that with
we never talked about Vladimir Dracula.
Oh, Vladimir Dracula.
You skipped him out. Yeah. You skipped the big V himself. You skipped the original Vladimir Dracula. Literally...
Nosferatu was the original, and then...
See, the thing about Vladimir Dracula that a lot of people don't realize is he literally had a Catholic church, a Roman Catholic church, built in his castle. So him and his servants didn't have to travel miles to it. He was holy as hell!
Yeah, so holy water, fuck you, don't work.
And just to be the one that says it, because I don't want to be racist when I say this thing, but you know, you hold a cross towards a vampire, and because it's a holy symbol, it pushes them back. But what if they don't... I mean, what if they're Jewish?
What if they're atheists?
Yeah, what if they're an atheist? Oh, I have a cross. They're going to put that cross through your fucking skull. Alright?
Yep.
Now, the thing about piercing a vampire's chest, too, according to legend, that never killed them. That just paralyzed them. Yep. The only way to literally kill a vampire was through decapitation. Sometimes it's said with a silver sword, but I think it was just straight... You decapitate anything, it's going to die, alright? Save for trolls, but we won't talk about that.
I mean, both of them were not weak to any of them. They could walk in the sun, no problem. They were... Well, in that movie, or in that movie series, which was the third one, where Dracula actually came into play, he was the first daywalker ever. But none of his other people underneath of him had the ability up until Blade. So
Dracula was based off of Vlad the Impaler. Yes, we know, Vladimir Dracula. We said that already.
Yeah, get with the program, man. Anyway.
And don't forget, Dracula fought Batman.
And to put it into perspective...
Which means he's real.
To put it into perspective of the way Kyle was thinking about doing it is the Twilight series, well, the werewolves were there to protect the humans.
Right, but another thing that a lot of people don't realize is the werewolves in Twilight were not werewolves. Common misconception. They were what were called skinwalkers or skin dancers, which is a Native American tradition.
I mean, granted, same kind of bestial aspect.
Well, no, because...
Well, no, because werewolves were more of the, I'm gonna stand on 2...
5 foot to 6 foot, 5 foot to 14 foot. Size difference, but I think I would rather be able to pick up a sword and hit you with it than try to bite you.
Yeah. I mean, that would...
Oh! Oh, crap, that hurts. Keep going.
Oh, I mean, Twilight, I mean, I've watched some of the series. I didn't like the, What did you do?
I didn't do anything. He hit his ear off the thing.
I jammed one of those damn spokes square into my ear at full speed.
I mean, I like the theory of, you know, you had the skinwalkers that protected the humans, and then you also had one family that never had any beef with humans and protected them from the other vampires if they came around that were getting caused bad. The part that I disliked about the movie is, why the fuck did you make the fucking vampire sparkle in the fucking daylight?
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm
Sorry
fine.
for laughing at you.
That's okay. That hurt like hell.
So that was one of my major issues on...
In case you're wondering what happened, I turned like this, and then I leaned back real quick, and it just jammed right into the top of my ear.
So yeah, that was my major issue with Twilight.
I think the reason she did it was to make people believe that every male vampire was gay. And what I mean by gay is not homosexual. I don't believe that part at all. I believe they just wanted to make him look stupid. And that was the best way of doing it. Because trust me, I have friends of mine who are homosexual who watched that movie and went, wow, they are gay. And not in the good way. And Wanda Sykes can suck it. I don't care what she says about that.
I only watched the first one. I liked it.
Well, if she watched the first one, she didn't see how completely stupid it got. As the first one actually had some cool fight scenes.
Yeah.
After that, it just got... Anyways, continue.
Oh, let's see. You've got... What was the one that Edward Norton played in? Daybreakers.
That was a weird one.
That was a weird one. What happened in that one was actually most of the population was turned into vampires. And here they were rather smart vampires and everything, ran the city, had their own secret society and everything like that, and had their own labs.
They had breeding centers for the humans where they basically hooked them up to machines and just bled them.
But unfortunately,
they were just forever trapped in that system, but they were running out of blood.
Yes, the vampires were actually running out of blood. That's why they had the scientists there that were vampires as well, trying to create another form
synthetic blood.
Alright, well don't ruin it for me because I'm going to watch it.
Well, we're not going to, but let me tell you, it's as far as vampire movies go, it really twists everything you think about vampires.
I mean, yeah, they did not...
Right?
Daybreakers.
They did not get they didn't get the immunities right.
Right.
Obviously, with the whole sun.
It's like I said, it's a very interesting movie, and it's a very thought-provoking movie.
But, yeah, it is definitely a worthwhile movie to watch.
Yep.
I'm putting a memo in my phone so I don't forget.
Come on, you're still missing one. You're missing a very important one. And if you can't think of it, I'll have to say it.
God sake.
One of the best, well-put-together movies of all time that involves vampires involves an interview with a vampire. If you folks have not had a chance to see this, it really, really needs to be on your watch list.
Oh, yes.
It is such a interesting, well-put movie, which describes not only the blessings of immortality, but the curse as well.
What was it?
Interview with a Vampire. Brad Pitt's in it, I think?
I believe so.
It's interesting. It's the thing about the vampirism in that one is this guy literally, he's talking to a professional about it. And he's explaining to him, like, back in the 17th century, maybe? 17th or 18th century was when it happened to him. And he's explaining to this guy his life ever since. how he's trapped looking the same way the entire time, and all the blessings he's had because of it, but also all the pains and the heartbreak, where it's like you could have taken vampire and you could have replaced it with any other mythological creature, and the movie would have felt really well put. It was a person that was just telling you. It was basically like you're at a confessional. You know, these were my good days, these were my bad days, and I've kept it a secret for so long that I just need to tell somebody.
Yeah.
And he literally, the entire movie is basically him talking to this guy about it. And I'm not going to ruin the ending on you, but it was just like so well put together. It just, I don't usually like movies that have Brad Pitt in them. I'm a big anti-Brad Pitt fan because I just think that he's put in movies because he's a good-looking guy. And you could replace any movie that Brad Pitt's in with Vin Diesel and I would watch it. But that's for a different reason. Actually, you can replace almost any male lead in a movie with Vin Diesel and you would get me to watch it. The Notebook would have been so much better if it would have been Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel turns guys gay.
Oh, he turns my motor on is what he does. Anyway.
It said Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, and Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, that's right. It had some really big names in it, and it was so well put together.
I'm going to have to look it up.
What you gonna call it? But now we're gonna move into another category that you put in your list: TV shows.
Oh, jeez, TV shows and vampires? That one's kind of a hard one. Oh wait, it's not. There's actually several really good TV shows that have come out with vampires in them. One of my personal favorites, if I can say it, involves a group of people that lived on 123 Drury Lane, the Munsters.
Yes.
Where the mother was a vampiress, the father was a Frankenstein, the son was a werewolf, the grandfather was also a vampire. Nothing makes sense. It was really funny though. I like the series.
But another one that I'm gonna throw out there is True Blood.
Right.
This actually has the whole war going on with vampires and lichens again. Also, Vampire Diaries itself has vampires, witches, and lichens.
What about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, huh?
That was another one.
It's right in the name.
Where you have so much more.
Or how about the movie Van Helsing?
Yes. Very good movie.
What
you gonna call it? You also have the originals, which Kyle watched some of the other day. That was the one that you kept coming in my room.
Oh yeah.
Watching. That brings in werewolves, witches to more of an extent than Vampire Diaries does, and vampires obviously, but not just any. What?
I thought it was.
You keep saying werewolves instead of wolves.
You know what, Jared? You might be right. It might be 1313 Mockingbird Lane. I might be thinking about some other family. I know there was one family that lived on 123 Drury Lane.
Sorry, but you've been doing it all night, and I just couldn't hold back.
Hey! Listen. Feel free to talk all you want. Raise the wolf all you want.
Anyway, but in the originals, it actually has what they claim to be the original vampires of their time.
So, like, what they would say about it in that whole... Well, okay. I'm going to bite my lip for 90% of what I'm about to say because I don't want to cause a frickin' war between myself and these two. The Underworld series. There, I said it.
Yeah, because you do have your members that were the higher-ups in there. But, like, no, these were... Apparently, before these turned, there was no other werewolves and vampires in the world.
She's just cracking up over there every time you say it. You can see, like, every time you say it, her cheeks go like this.
I've been holding it all day. I've been so good. I finally...
The worst part is that she's been holding it all day. Like, she's just... You've officially done it, man. You've done something no one's been able to do. You broke the kitten's wall down. You threw enough werewolves to take her down. Werewolves and airwolves and subwoofs and Wolf the Shaggy Dog. Now I got her laughing and she can't stop.
Anyway, we'll go on to freaking vampire anime so I don't get fucking judged.
Before we do that, can I bring up something real quick? Okay, so I have to bring this up while she's cracking up. If you all remember, there was a TV show called Supernatural, and Supernatural was about these two brothers. Well, they were huge fans of the Vampire Diaries, and they said that if they ever wanted to do a good season finale, what they should do is at the end of the last episode, just have the two brothers from Supernatural walking into the town and just cut to black.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad.
I gotta agree with Jared. Dark Shadows, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Werewolf.
Well.
Werewolf. Werewolf. Young Frankenstein. In that one, he actually said wolf, though.
But, I
Wolf.
gotta say, Dark Shadows, the original was a good one, not that remake.
Traitor.
Woof, woof, woof.
Why? Tim Burton fucking sucked in that fucking movie.
Werewolf! Werewolf everywhere! Werewolf!
Johnny
Werewolf!
Depp?
No, I mean Tim Burton, who made that remake.
Kolchak the
Okay.
Night Stalker.
I know he made it.
Hey,
Well,
let's
It
talk.
did not suck.
Yes, it did.
Yo,
Have you seen the original?
yo, throw the flag in.
No.
Well, then watch the original.
2 points. Come on, we're not gonna do the Devil May Cry thing again.
Before you judge me on saying that the original is better than the remake.
I didn't even know there was an original.
Don't talk to me anymore. You've disgraced me how many times today? Well, let's see. Why is Supernatural not geeky?
No. Kids, we're still on camera. Save your bloodshed for later, please. Nick.
Listen, Mr. Werewolf.
Oh, gosh.
Go ahead. Fuck with me.
Yeah, say, okay, Queen of the Geeks over there claimed.
So what we're going to continue with is animes that have
Obviously
vampires,
not.
and of course there's Vampire Hunter D, which is amazing, of course. It was actually more of a movie series than anything, but it was an anime. Oh, are we back?
Yes.
All right, just making sure. I was going to continue on.
You got Vampire Night, which I love that anime series.
Now, you see, that's the funny thing. See, me and Necro are kind of counterintuitive to that. I thought it was too slow, but Necro actually enjoyed it. So, I mean, once again, that's the whole thing about differences.
I like that one too. It definitely did start off slow, but it picked up.
Right, well, that's the thing. I like animes that pick up at a good pace. And it was just like, okay, they still haven't done I can move ahead 3 episodes. They're still in the fucking castle!
Well, there was a lot of backstory.
I know, but once it actually kicked in, then it was
Yeah.
good. Which is the opposite of the anime series Evangelion, which started off really good, and then just died after episode 10.
What, you got
Rosary of the Vampire. Episode Series 1 and Series 2.
That is a rather good one. I think I'm only like 5 or 10 episodes into it, but I really like that.
Would you say that would be a suggestion?
What?
To watch, would you say?
Oh, yes. But my favorite anime vampire has to be, show has to be Hellsing. You could either watch the original Hellsing or what was
Hellsing the Abridged?
No,
you're talking about Hellsing. I call it Hellsing Super, but that's not the right answer.
No.
Hellsing Overbloods, Hellsing.
I don't know. It's. Could you do a quick research?
Hey kids, want to see a dead body? Ah!
But if you want to get into more funnier than both of those, you want to go watch Hellsing Unabridged.
The Nightwalker, who glides on shadows and places shadows upon shadows. Oh yes, you dirty bitch, work the shaft.
Hellsing 1.
No, it was Hellsing, and then there's like Hellsing
Like something along
Blood or something like that.
I want to say like Ultimate Hellsing.
That
Or
could be.
Hellsing the Ultimate.
Hellsing Impure Souls.
That actually sounds really close to it.
No, Ultimate. Hellsing Ultimate. There it is.
Where do you see that?
Oh yeah, it's right here, Hellsing Ultimate. The thing about Hellsing Ultimate is Hellsing Ultimate is basically Hellsing
with more blood and gore.
Let's say Hellsing is set at a 7 on the dial. This just cranks it to a 10.
Yes.
Now there's also, I want to throw in an anime that, well, Jared just caught up. He just threw in Hellsing Ultimate. There is an anime series that actually covers all 3 of us. And it's an older anime series, but it was also a video game. and it was called Dark Stalkers, which involved.
Never heard of it.
Well, you actually saw one of the characters earlier today.
I did.
Yeah, when you were looking up ghosts in video games, you saw her.
Oh.
Yeah, it's basically all of the monsters that we've mentioned and more fighting for different reasons. There's no, I mean, everyone has a fucking different reason.
Well, yeah, but I mean, as a general aspect, you could probably just say dominance.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're superpowered beings fighting for any reason, dominance sounds pretty cool to me. So, folks, I have to say without a shadow of a doubt that this has been the longest live stream of all time that we've done, because it just turned 10 o'clock.
Yes.
We started at 8, so this has been a 2-hour live stream, but I gotta ask you guys something. Honestly. You two, right there, including the ones not looking at me.
Yes.
Gotta ask you a question.
Yes.
Did you enjoy yourself?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yes.
Do you enjoy this kind of intelligent thought process?
Without a doubt.
Alright. So, next week when we do this, we're not going to do what we used to do back in the past and, you know, wait till like the last half hour and then scurry along, right?
Haven't we been doing better?
Yeah, we have been doing better. I just want to make sure.
Last week was a 3-hour research sesh.
Well,
this week was 2 hours.
This one's going to be a little less. Or more, depending on how you look at it. But we'll discuss that next time, folks. I'll be discussing it to these guys in a few seconds, but we'll be discussing it to you guys later. So, folks, I want to thank you all for joining us. We really enjoy you guys watching. If you guys... she hearts you. If you guys actually enjoy these live streams more than anything, just make it a mention in the comments, please.
Yeah, let us know.
Because we'll do more live streams if you guys want us to. I mean, I enjoy just talking up a storm, although I'm kind of just like, you can hear my voice is starting to get a little raspy.
And let us know what you want us to talk about.
Yep, next week will be the only one we won't, because we kind of already have the idea going. Rest in peace, George Romero and Martin Landau.
Yep.
Yep. We actually rest in peace George Romero at the beginning of the episode. So, from all of us here at Modernster headquarters, the whole 12 by 12 room that we're in, so thank you guys for joining us. I'm Kaiju K.
I'm Necro Nick.
I'm the Kitten of Doom.
And we'll see you all in the future. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
At least I do a heart.
I told you at the beginning, my heart does not show emotion anymore. Because my heart's like the Grinch's, it's 3 sizes too small anymore.